Chapter 11 More Big Organic. I visited Rosie the free-range organic chicken at her farm in Petaluma. Of course, this wasn't the same Rosie as the chicken I had bought at my Whole Foods market. Rosie is the brand name for a type of chicken raised by Petaluma Poultry. Like Earthbound Farm, Petaluma Poultry is a large industrial organic company. When I got to Petaluma, I looked for a pretty little red barn, or cornfield and farmhouse like the one on the Petaluma package. By now you'll have guessed that I couldn't find them. Petaluma turns out to be more animal factory than farm. Rosie lives in a shed with 20,000 other Rosies. Ah, you ask, what about the free range words on Rosie's label? Doesn't that mean they can freely range outside? Not exactly. It's true there's a little door in each shed leading out to a narrow grassy yard, but here's the catch. The door remains firmly shut until the birds are at least 5 weeks old. By that time they're so used to the shed that none of them go outside, and then all of them are slaughtered 2 weeks later. Rosie and all the other chickens raised at Petaluma are the same breed, Cornish cross broilers. The Cornish cross is a type of chicken bred for the industrial food chain. It is the fastest growing chicken ever, turning corn into meat faster than any other bird. They go from egg to full size in just 7 weeks. In fact, the birds grow so rapidly that their poor legs cannot keep up. Often by 7 weeks, Rosie can no longer walk. The folks at Petaluma gave me a tour of the fully automated processing plant. The machinery there can turn a chicken from a clucking feathered bird into a shrink-wrapped pack of parts in just 10 minutes. After the tour, the head of marketing drove me out to the chicken houses. The shed looked more like a military barrack than a barn. They are long, low buildings with giant fans at either end. To go inside, I had to put on a white hooded suit. Since the birds receive no antibiotics and they are all genetically alike, if one gets sick, they all get sick. An infection could kill 20,000 birds overnight. 20,000 is a lot of chickens. Inside the shed, they formed a moving white carpet that stretched nearly the length of a football field. The air was warm and humid and smelled powerfully of ammonia from their droppings. The fumes caught in my throat. Compared to conventional chickens, I was told these organic birds have it pretty good. They get a few more square inches of living space per bird. It was hard to see how they could be packed together much more tightly. Because there are no hormones or antibiotics in their feed, to speed growth, they get to live a few days longer. I stepped back outside into the fresh air, grateful to escape the humidity and smell. Running along the entire length of each shed was a grassy yard maybe 15 feet wide. USDA rules says an organic chicken should have access to the outdoors, but as I've said, the birds never go outside, even when the doors are open. This is no accident. The last thing Petaluma wants is for these birds to go outside and catch a cold. After visiting Cascadian, Earthbound, and Petaluma, I decided it was time to make my industrial organic food chain meal. There isn't any organic fast food restaurant chain to visit, at least not one yet. I planned a simple Sunday night dinner and bought the food at my local Whole Foods supermarket. I'd prepare roast chicken, Rosie, with toasted vegetables, yellow potatoes, purple kale, and red winter squash. But all but one of them was grown by a company called Cal Organic Farms. They pretty much share the organic vegetable market with Earthbound. On the side would be a steamed asparagus and a spring mix salad from Earthbound Farm. Dessert would be even simpler, organic ice cream from Stonyfield Farm topped with fresh organic berries from Mexico. I also bought one of those Cascadian Farm organic TV dinners. I had a hunch it probably wasn't quite ready for prime time, or at least for my wife. So I ate it myself for lunch, right in its microwavable plastic bowl. 5 minutes on high, and it was good to go. As I peeled back the film from the bowl, I felt a little like a flight attendant serving meals. Indeed, the meal looked and tasted very much like airline food. To be fair, one shouldn't compare an organic TV dinner to real food, but to a conventional TV dinner. And by that standard, Cascadian Farm has nothing to be ashamed of. Still, the chunks of white meat chicken had only a faint chicken taste. That probably came from the natural chicken flavor mentioned on the box. The creamy rosemary dill sauce was made without cream or milk. I'm betting it got its creaminess from xanthan gum or some other additive. The dinner went much better, if I don't mind saying so myself. I roasted the bird in a pan surrounded by potatoes and chunks of winter squash. After removing the chicken from the oven, I spread the crinkled leaves of kale on a cookie sheet, sprinkled them with olive oil and salt, and slid them onto the hot oven to roast. After 10 minutes or so, the kale was nicely crisped and the chicken was ready to carve. The one vegetable I cooked that wasn't grown by Cal Organic or Earthbound was the asparagus. It had been grown in Argentina. It had been picked, packed, and chilled on Monday, flown by jet to Los Angeles Tuesday, trucked north, and put on sale in Berkeley by Thursday, and steamed by me Sunday night. That one bundle of asparagus presented its own little dilemma. How much fossil fuel was burned to keep it refrigerated and fly it to the U.S.? Should farmland in South America be used to grow expensive food for well-off North Americans? Should we even try to eat asparagus or any vegetable that's out of season? Yet there are good arguments on the other side. My purchase helps the economy of Argentina. It also helps some of that country's land free from pesticides or chemical fertilizer. This was all a lot of baggage for a few spears of asparagus to carry, I admit. So how does it taste? My jet-setting Argentine asparagus tasted like damp cardboard. After the first spear or two, no one touched it. All the other vegetables and greens were much tastier. Really good, in fact. Of course, we live in California, so they didn't have far to travel to our table. Whether they would have been quite so sweet and bright after a cross-country truck ride is doubtful. I have to admit that the earthbound greens in their plastic bags stayed crisp right up to the expiration date, a full 18 days after leaving the field. This is partially due to the space-age technology used to pack them. But, as the Goodmans had explained to me, organic greens just last longer. Since they're not pumped up on synthetic nitrogen, the cells of organic leaves grow more slowly. These slower growing leaves develop thicker walls and take up less water, helping them stay fresher longer. My industrial organic dinner certainly wasn't cheap, considering I made it from scratch. Rosie cost $15, $2.99 a pound. The vegetables another $12, thanks to that $6 bunch of asparagus, and the dessert $7, including $3 for a 6-ounce box of blackberries. That comes to $35 to feed a family of 3 at home.